How was the last few days? Because I mean, I was paying attention a little bit, but not much, not as much as I should have been. So
Well, I personally was kind of with you, man. I was watching a little bit, but I was sick, under the weather. I had the flu, or something since the weekend.
dude,
So
it's been, I mean, my son is coughing up. I mean, he's finally getting over it, right? Coughing up like phlegm out of his fucking, out of his chest. And then, my daughter, she's got, we all have like a little bit of it. I don't think mine's going to get hit as hard, but I mean, it's been like on and off. We were good for like a month, dude. And then it's all back again. It's just nuts. I don't know. You got kids, John?
No, I'm single. But
Okay.
yeah, the fever, man. It was like 104 one night. It was kind of concerning. I hadn't had a fever like that since I was young.
It's pretty wild, but yeah, body's fighting it off for sure. So
But yeah, the fever was just 2 nights. I don't know if it was the flu or COVID or who knows. I just dosed myself up and got through it. So, but as far as trading goes, I only took a couple trades, and trying to think what day I took SPY one day. I posted in the chat, and it was the day everybody was doing really good.
did it work out for you? I know that you posted some things and it sounded like I forget what it was. A couple days ago, it sounded like it was decent, right?
Right, it was. I think everybody was SJ done real good with Tesla that day, I think.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, of course.
I think you were trading too then, but yeah, I tried to be around a little bit, and then I took one trade today towards the end of the day, and I just held it. I grabbed it, I think I mentioned that in the chat too. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow, but that's kind of mine. I'll let everybody else talk.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. I mean, there's not a lot of people in here yet, and it may not be. We'll record it and do what we're doing, but I wanted to get on. Actually, what I want to do, you guys, is start with this blank chart and just look at the broad picture, because I know for myself, right, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day. I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's the day-to-day movement. Obviously, you get like kind of focused on the micro shit. But sometimes it's good to zoom out, especially the way my charts look, right? I don't know if everybody has the same lines on all the charts, but mine get what's the word? They get jammed up, let's say. So anyways, I want to start with this and take a look at it, because I think we can find the areas that if we wait patiently, we'll be good to go. It's I'm playing with the futures here, and I think I'm about to get fucked again. So I may stop that until I can concentrate better. I'm a little bit of an idiot. I was thinking it would run long now, but anyways. All right. So yeah, how was your week? I mean, what do you think of the market? I know Tommy's putting his kid down, so.
So I traded, let's see, what's today? Today's Wednesday?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So Monday I traded Tesla. And I made like $240 that day, but I was learning how to use TOS. So all the money that I got on Monday, I lost it playing with TOS on SPY. So I mean,
were you playing with the active trader?
I was. Okay. And it's not as efficient as Trade of 8. But I had to learn the buttons, and doing it on paper trading it didn't even cross my mind. It was like, I might as well try and make some money while I'm doing this.
We should do so I want to do some stuff with active trader too coming in the new year, because I put $500 into another Trade of 8 account, and I put $500 into my I made my cash account $500, right? And I just want to see, I want to like keep it, we'll all keep track of it and shit. I'll post I can post like the day if we do make trades with it. Sometimes that cash account, I may not do anything, right? On a day like today, when we ripped up, it would have been a great day to play it, because you just buy one and just let it go. But I want to see what we can do with it and have everybody involved. So I think the futures will be the best one, but.
The reason why I didn't play today is because the market had been dumping for the last week or so. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I knew there was bound to be a time that it was going to pop up, and I didn't want to lose all of my winnings. So I had 100% gain on my last Tesla put yesterday. And I really don't want to lose it. So I took today off, which I'm glad I did, because Tesla traded sideways and the market opened up and it all flew up. And it's not like I only want to play puts. I don't, but I want to be more consistent.
Yeah.
If you're going to go up a few days, then let's go up a few days. So when it has its runs, I think that's what I'm going to do is when it has its consecutive runs, I'm going to take a break and kind of let it play out for a minute. I did also revamp my entire long-term portfolio. I mean, I sold pretty much everything and got into all new stuff.
Good for you. Good for you. I don't want, your long-term is something you gotta, it's, it's more personal, right? But the thing is, like, I think things are changing, so it's good to hear. I mean, obviously it's still a work in progress. I'm sure but that's good to hear, because I think the shit that it's good to take a new look at it and then adjust where needed. So
right. And then with it being the end of the year, and of course I listen to all of these spaces. I mean, I'm in the spaces, and I follow my mentors, that help me with the long-term stuff. And I went to Mostly Cash last week to just kind of get a feel of what was going on and look for new stuff. And anyway, my long-term mentors kind of gave me ideas on what to go into. So I did go into gold and silver.
Nice.
Yeah. And there were some other things, I got into Lowe's, and I got out of my regular stuff, the stuff that I've been in for, I don't know, like 2 years now.
I mean, there's stuff, that's the thing. There's stuff that's going to perform decently. I think the only thing I'm a little concerned with is I do think we're going to have I think we're going to make new lows, right? Since this bear market. I mean, I don't know when, right? Maybe it won't be till February or earnings or something, right? I think it'll be sooner, but just, reality is we don't know. The only issue with that is if it pulls, I think in order to do that, it's going to pull a lot of things down. But I do think metals, and certain commodities are probably going to perform well. And I mean, some of the staple shit, man, like look at even Twinkie. You guys know about Twinkie?
No, but that's the kind of stuff that my long-term mentor has been telling me about. Check out like the stuff you would never think about.
Yeah, it's where the fuck is it? It's
Duracell and Twinkie. You didn't mention
Yeah.
Twinkies, but you're mentioning Twinkies. But just take a look at stuff that are not talked about frequently. He also said communications have taken a huge hit this past year, so it might be time for them to go up. I didn't do any communication plays because I just don't feel like it's the right time for me yet. But it'll be something that I'll look at. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's some really fucking silly stuff, so it's but the stuff is okay. TWNK, sorry. I think it's here we go. Yeah, look at this thing and look at where it came down to. Like this in my mind is a good buy. Look what it came right down to, the 200. And I mean, this is just one of them, right? But the reality is this is on a monthly chart, obviously. Let's look at the weekly. It's come down nicely here. I would wait maybe for a base a little bit. I don't even have volume up on this, I guess. Huh. Why do I not have volume? Sorry, hang with me. This is a different yeah, you can see the volume spike here. This was but January. How was that? January 2022. Oh yeah, no, right. That was the first of the year. So I want to watch for something like this again, right? Watch for a volume spike that comes in, let it base out a little bit. See how it based here? You got like the base, and then you got a couple volume spikes, and then you got the dip, and there's good entries. And anybody that entered here, and this is this is shit that just kind of creeps up. But I mean, it's there's a couple more like Schmuckers, right? That's one that's performed very well. How do you spell Schmucker?
Because with a name like Smuckers, it's got to be good.
That's right. Oh my God, it's so true.
Smuckers.
I think, yeah, here we go. This is it. Look at this sucker. I charted this thing too, and I fucking I forget all about these things, you guys. So I need help to remember. Look at this, breaking out into new highs, right? New highs, fucking cup and handle kind of here. If you called that the handle, maybe, I don't know. That might have been the handle. But look at the break. So like what we want to watch is for, we want to see price come back down basically and retest this level and hold this zone, this one, say 155 down to 152. And that, that's the sort of thing for long term, in my opinion. I know this is up, right? So I mean, you want to be careful with this, but the thing is, I would buy this and have my stop, a little bit lower. Maybe if it did come down and retest here, I would add on, or I'd buy some options. I like what Monadiv does. Like once he buys in on the dip, he won't really average down as much, but he'll buy leaps, right? So he's still making money on the dip and then let it perform on the way up. So there's two things here. You could wait for like 155 or maybe 145. Anyways, just an option here, not even the main focus. But what else are you looking at, SJ? Or
Oh my
anyone
gosh,
else?
there were so many of them. Let me log in.
I mean, it's all good. Yeah. If you had any that you really liked off the top of your head.
No, they talked about buying lithium in a space the other day.
Yeah,
and I've been watching it. Lithium is going down, so it's something.
Are you talking about
Livent?
Yeah, it's
LTHM.
Okay, so that's Livent Corporation, right? Instead of, because there is lithium as well. But
Yes.
yeah, and this is something here that I would pay attention to for sure. Something like this. Just to kind of use as a base, right? I mean, we can come in here. I'm sure we can find a monthly spot that's going to rock out. Yeah, we'll get it right here. So if we can get this down, if I can get this down to what is that, 1922, right? Basically where it's come down and dipped here multiple times. That might be a great spot to buy in. I know maybe you already added in. I mean, it's for the long term. I think it's, I think these things will be around for a while, and this is relatively new. So, right.
Yeah.
I mean, 2018. Yeah.
I buy really, really slow, maybe one share of that a month, like every time, it goes down further. Not a month, one share like every 2 weeks. So yes, I am in that one.
I mean, that's a 47% drop. Let's see what it would be on the way up. Hold on. Sorry. Keep going. So if if you bought it, if we could get it at like $20, let's say, right? Buy it as it hits the dip, set your stop maybe under, maybe, try to buy in some at 20. And then what I would do is buy, also some down at like $18 and then have, my stop. I wouldn't be as worried about, but I mean, look at this 88% if it goes back up to previous highs. And obviously, I mean, this was just in September, right? So like, and even this was the high end here was, I'm sorry, hold on. What was that? Yeah, that was fucking November. So this is the November monthly candle. So I mean, there's
Right.
potential here for sure. Look at these swings though. I mean, you're talking 70 to 80% gains on just this. If you're patient and buy down at this this main, this is monthly demand that has obviously been in control here for a while, right? I mean, we can see how, there's definitely buyers sitting down here. That's why I would probably buy at 20. Just so I could get, just in case it doesn't come down and touch, and then, have my second buy probably $18 I like.
Right.
So anyways,
and I got into Boeing, and I've been in oh goodness, what's the other one?
Lockheed Martin. Tell me you're
Lockheed Martin. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been in Lockheed Martin for a little while, and I just keep adding shares every now and then.
That's rock
But
and roll.
I just got into Boeing too.
Oops.
And then healthcare. I've made good money on Aflac, AbbVie. I did get back into Aflac after selling at the top. And I'm in, what's the other one? Moderna.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. I think, pharmaceutical wise, like, especially if you keep it small, what am I trying to say? If you keep it small, it'll, you can, you kind of build in a little bit at a time. I mean, if Asia wakes up, or if China, if China, all of a sudden lets Moderna vaccines come in, it's going to be, that'll be an explosion in itself. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's definitely a catalyst. So,
Yeah. And then the other one that I've gotten into is semiconductors.
yeah.
Now I've had TSM, which is Taiwan Semiconductors.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had that one for a while,
Yep.
and I've just been averaging in on that one. The new one I got in on is ON.
I don't know that one. Let's check that out. Yeah. So TSM, I like a lot. I just think that there's going to be a little bit more pain. I think it'll come down again. But I really like the $60 level again. I don't know if it will break that. That's pretty heavy support.
Yeah, and
you said?
TSM,
Sorry.
TSM, I only have like 11 shares, so it's not.
But it's long. It's long term, right? Like it doesn't
Right.
matter. Like I think TSM. Even if you buy just SMH, right, which is something that's it's an ETF that I always look at if I'm looking at semis, and even if you bought into that and just hold, what I mean, like it's gonna go back up. Like semiconductors are fucking absolutely needed. So
Right.
yeah.
I listened to a guy last night in Charlie Munger fan page spaces, and I like to listen to them a lot because they have really good ideas too. A guy went full port on coal and lost his entire portfolio because he didn't diversify. And he
Yeah.
went all in.
Yeah. It's fucking
And he went all
stupid,
in
man.
at one time instead of easing his way in. So that was a big topic of conversation last night.
And it sucks, I mean, it's tough for people. But again, it's like, why? I don't, that's the thing. Like, as much hype as there is around stuff, it's like Tesla. As much as I was very confident, right, that it's going to come down and touch this weekly demand, which it has obviously right there. And but the thing is, I'm not, I'm not going all in on that, because something will come out and it'll fucking rip up, 40% or some dumb shit. I mean, it's
right.
So yeah, no, that's just that's an shitty result. Like, you feel for people like that, because I mean, I've lost some serious money, on the way up, and it's like if it was everything, it'd be a real problem. It would stop the whole game. So
even when I first started trading stocks, before I had any mentors or anything like that, I knew better than to go in full port of anything. I've always heard my entire life, diversify your portfolio.
Yep. I mean, I think staying, I like the idea. Actually, I heard a couple of really good spaces. One that George Noble had, he had a woman on that wasn't super well known, and she talked about how she didn't diversify a ton, but she had like 3 main sectors basically, right? So she was diversified, and it was well thought out, but she didn't like spread out across everywhere. She really focused on a few key points, and they all like they all popped up. Like one obviously was like oil. I forget what the others were, but it was really cool because it was like diversified but still focused, right? Still ultra focused and waiting for a push in that sector. And that was when you start taking your profits and shit. I mean, this is a longer term plan.
Right.
She's talking over a period of like a year or two, and building these positions. This is really interesting to hear, speak. This is a while ago, but anyways, yeah. So ON is a good one. I've not heard about that. I should add it to the watch list.
I just got into ON.
I like it down here. I really,
yesterday?
this looks good because you got your 200-day. You came right down, almost touched it perfectly. It is holding right, and this is a decent. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I'm less worried about that, I guess, as I would be. What does that look like? Sorry, I'm just playing around here, but yeah, I mean, it looks good, right? Like that looks pretty good for support. And I don't know much about the company per se, but is it up and coming? Is that like where are they?
I don't know many details about ON. It's just something that I've been watching for a long time now.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's been
and it's continuing to go up.
Yeah, that's exactly. And I mean, it consolidated here. It had this like bull flag effect, and it boom popped off, right? So
Right.
now it popped off, it came back retested, and it's still, you're still making higher highs on the weekly, which is huge. And yeah,
Yeah, and I
pretty
only have
nice.
4 shares in that, until I go into full research on it, it's not breaking me.
Yeah, no, but you know what, what's funny is it really doesn't matter. That's why I like, I put this small account together, and I've only been trading like 1 or 2 contracts with it. I only traded with it for a day. Just played around with it and, made like $50 on it. But I'm like, you know what, this focusing on like some smaller pieces going in is very important, even with a bigger account, because it's easy to take some big losses, and you can, this compounding, just kind of doing this, adding shares, even if you added shares every month, to ones that you liked in your long term.
Mhm.
I give it a couple of years and all of a sudden like you're rocking out. So
Right.
anyways, yeah, let's
And I think that's all I got.
no, perfect. All right, that's good. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. All right, so let's look at the well, I guess we'll go from the month and come down. So this is what we have going on right now, right? This is our SPX. So this is kind of let's see, what time is it? It's 9:52. All right, so this is, I'm gonna probably cut some of this out because I want to put this on YouTube. I think going over the charts just blank is going to be a decent lesson. So let's throw out, this is what we're looking for, right? This was monthly demand that we finally got to break through. We did come back up, retested it, and now we're sitting above. So what I'm looking for is obviously a close that comes down, underneath at this point. This is what I would do with this. Make it dashed or something. This is going to be our monthly support, 35.92. So if that breaks, right, and we need to get a monthly close below that, and there are weekly levels here as well, so won't go into this too much, but we're going to look at the day. But this is why I have a 3,200 target, right? I think it could easily come down here and touch, maybe it's 3,300. But I think it would come down and touch this monthly demand, and then maybe that would be, I don't know, like that. I think that would be a good low. Like I'll start buying some shit here. I know people have 3K as a level, and here's the thing: the Fed. See, here's what was happening before COVID, right? These months here, these 4 months leading up to to the COVID disaster, the Fed was already starting to print a bunch of money. Right? Like they were already fucking with stuff going into COVID. And that's why a lot of people say, hey, COVID was a perfect excuse, for basically gave the Fed cover for something they were already doing. Not saying they caused it, but it's just, they took advantage of a situation or whatever. So, to see this tells me that there's probably some support down here, and that is right around 3K. If we're losing the artificial, how to put this, like if we're losing the artificial shit, I'm losing my train of thought here. If we lose, if you get rid of the artificial trading or the artificial part of the charts where the Fed's really pumped it up, and you get back, and obviously there's been QE all the way up through here, so I mean, this is kind of take this with a grain of salt, but the thing is, you can find kind of this area that might very well be a solid landing spot where longer term investors and funds are, consider this fair value, right? So down to 3K is possible. I'm not, and again, this is going into next year, and maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know. But when I look at this index, that's jacked up, like this is jacked up pretty good. This pullback is big, but it's not, it could be bigger. It could come down, I think, to 32, and still be right in line. So all right, let's look at the day, and we'll pull out some levels that actually we can trade with. All right, so yeah, so one thing comes to mind here, right? This is kind of what I wanted to get at, I guess. When we look here, right, I'm looking right where price is at, basically, right? I can see on a daily chart how we came down and we tested. I mean, the wicks come down lower, but where we close at, right, is very consistent throughout this area. So there's, I see this and I'm like, okay, there's definitely a zone here, right? There's an area of interaction. And so what I look for now is I want to see if there's a candle that helps represent that, right? So I could either come back to here and say, okay, maybe it's this guy, right? Which would be daily, this would be daily demand here. Did I do that right? 2, 4, 6, yeah. This would be daily demand. So do we use this, do we use that zone? I kind of like that. I think that's a very key area for SPX, right? So, and that's the thing is it basically encompasses 3,900. So that's where I'm kind of, I don't think we're going to rally up much higher than this, right? I think we could, probably, and this is SPX, not ES. Obviously, ES is up, 39.18 or whatever it is. But for SPX that we trade during the day, if this thing pops up, this area to me stands out. So hopefully, and I know this is pretty simple, but I think a lot of times people, they overcomplicate it. And the other thing I look at here is this daily candle right here that I'm snapping lines on. I see something like that and I say, okay, there's obviously a struggle here, right? So what I call this, that would probably be my zone, although I do like the daily demand. That is something that's worth holding on or worth knowing about. But at the same time, I think when I see a candle like that, that tells me that there was obviously a battle here, right? And you could pick other ones. There are other options. But the more you zoom in, the more it looks good, in my opinion, right? Like the way this daily candle right here closed, right? It's a bullish candle, but it closed just right inside of it, right? You get these where it's like we're over, we struggled, we still dropped. Here we closed inside. This we tested it, finally broke through, came back, retested it. When I look here, this wick comes down exactly to see if I can blow it up for you. These wicks, this one comes down, almost touches the line. This comes down, touches it perfectly. The way these candles settle in, this is the candle we got the lines from. I see this wick comes down, touches it perfectly. And this here, right, this retest just recently, this would be December 16th, so last Friday, where we pumped up to was right to the top of that at 39.05. So pretty sure I have this as a zone on our other charts. Maybe not. I guess I have 39.11 to 38.94. But anyways, the thing is, and this is on a daily chart, not a 4-hour, but definitely something, that stands out well. So as much as the daily demand, right? I guess my point here is that as much as the daily demand does matter, and it does matter, right? Like obviously the lower spots here is something I want to pay attention to. But for just a general zone of interaction, I like this here. One thing to keep in mind is this, we closed above. Look what we did actually. Look at how we retested, right? We came back down and almost tested that perfectly. That is a warning sign, in my opinion. We could go a little bit higher. We'll probably push up and hit this 100-day, maybe even push, and this is SPX, not ES, but 39.30. It's definitely possible, but I do think we roll back over. So, we'll see. Stay flexible, obviously. I'm not swinging much, guys. I mean, I still have some Tesla on, but I've taken a lot of profits. I'll day trade it, obviously, if there's a opportunity, but as far as overnight holds, I really just haven't been doing much. I think you can, as long as you're managing your position size, obviously swings are definitely possible. I just I would be cautious. So all right, let's zoom out a little bit more and look for some more areas here. And if you guys have, if you see something in mind, go ahead and spit it out, because it is this can be interactive. So what I'm looking at here obviously is this consolidation. Right, this was a big area of consolidation that finally broke down. I look to the left and I see, okay, we wicked right down to here. We came up and tested this here. The more I end up looking at this, I look over, I say, okay, it lines up. There's this little bit. So now it's like, all right, let's grab a line and see what happens. I really like the top of this daily candle here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I like the way it interacts all the way across. And so for the top of that, right, I will come here and I see, all right, I know there's all this interaction. I kind of like that. Actually, I like that a lot. So let me show you what I'm looking at here. So the top of this, where all this consolidation happened, right? We get, we build up, we're forming this kind of flag pattern, whatever you want to call it, on the daily. And then we open here push up and drop hard, right? So where we opened right here, you know, just stands out to me because that's the candle where we dropped, right? So that's that area of where the movement kind of pushed through. And as we come across, that matches up perfectly right here, which was another close. We got that push, big drop. A lot of these are news driven, you guys, but it always happens inside the zone. I mean, not every time, but a lot of times, right? And that's, to me, that's why I say the charts don't lie. The, you know, news will always come out to fit what the charts are kind of telling us looking forward. But at the end of the day, and I don't know the reason why exactly, I do have some ideas, but at the end of the day, when something pops out on the chart, when we see those levels, it's, you know, price will gravitate towards it. It's, you know, it's not 100% guarantee, obviously, but if it's going to go in that direction, most likely it's going to land and fade out, you know, at the levels that we find. And it's just something, that's where I think, you know, you guys putting zones on your chart would be obviously the supply and demand levels, those are key for intraday, but I think it's always good for everybody to kind of you know, start fresh with a chart and just kind of look around on it, you know, look at the bigger time frames. So all right, coming down, you know, to a lower base, obviously we were talking about, you know, this level up here, the 30, you know, 3,000. We don't have to go down that far, but I do like obviously this right here. So let's yeah, this guy right here, right? Let's just throw, because this tells me there's a struggle here. We had this nice push up. We got, you know, this day pushed up, closed, obviously open, and we had a big swing down. So this is where the decision was being made, right? This was the that was the meeting ground. So now we can zoom out, take a look and see what it looks like. And it's perfect, right? Look what we did. I mean, it's fucking spot on, beautiful. Like boom, we've hit. And there's daily demand down here. Don't get me wrong, but there's, you know, the reason that the daily demand exists where it's at here is because, you know, it's had these interactions from before, because these, you know, these areas matter. And it's just whatever the reason is, right? Whether it's algos, whether it's just, you know, the fact that professional traders use a similar strategy to this. You know, long-term traders look at this, they just look at the bigger time frames. Even the guy on that was whining and crying about fucking Tesla the other night, right? The reality is that if you look at Tesla, it's, you know, he even pointed out the monthly demand zones, right? Because it just makes sense, like 130, right? And then down, I think the next one's at fucking, I don't know, it's a lot lower, right? So it's one of those things that this stuff works, you know, it's once this is formed, this is going to be a zone of interaction. You can see it gets confirmation right here when we get the test and the drop. And when we come back up, we have this big spike, but the sellers step it down. And then finally the sellers get beat. And obviously, you know, buyers keep pushing us up, right? A lot of reasons for this. But the thing is, if you have this on your chart, once you see this big ass daily candle, and it's a bigger zone than these, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of price interaction here. You know, maybe you could say, oh, I'll scoot it up, you know, to the top of this guy here so that it's linked into this guy. But, you know, again, does that make a big difference over here? I don't know. But we actually, let's leave it like that for now. My point hopefully is getting across, right? Actually, no, I don't want that there. We want it back where we had it. And again, this would have been daily supply, right? So once this is formed, this would be the daily supply. You got the test and rejection, beautiful rejection here. I remember trading this. This was tough times. This is when everybody thought it was going to roll back over. Nobody knew, right? I mean, looking back, knowing what I know about the Fed and just the way everything works now, it kills me. I could have made fucking, you know, millions. I could have made $1 million a year ago, you know, a year and a half ago instead of now. And it's like, you know, because the Fed was going to keep on printing anyway. So, but this was choppy times, but you can see how it gets rejected. We get pushed in, beautiful, you know, kind of struggle here and hold. You even got the retest, you know, a week later. Remember, these are daily candles. So you're talking November 9th, 2020 to, you could have bought on the 23rd, you know, so you're talking 2 weeks of, you know, opportunity to buy in here, you know, knowing that this was supply, but it had been tested, it got beat, you got the close above, boom, fucking see ya. So All right, let's zoom out and keep looking. We'll get a couple more of these. I'm not trying to get anything major, but obviously we can come focus on, let's go a little bit higher here. Because the reality is, right, we could rip up higher. There's definitely some shit going on here. Real quick, I want to actually, here. Keep forgetting we can do this. Yeah, good enough. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at here. Right, when I see these two zones, and I like these zones, obviously, nice range. And then I see this candle stands out, right? Obviously, we have this bullish candle. It's very small. It's got the doji either side, but this one's beautifully balanced. It makes sense. It's in the center. So what I like to do is just, let's throw lines on it. And again, normally I do this on the 4 hour, but honestly, it makes no difference. If you're more comfortable, and I'm going to move it right down to there. If you're more comfortable with just doing on the daily, you find what works. So and again, guys, this is more of an exercise. I'll post this chart, in the chat. This is still my gravy train. So don't, I wouldn't change it over too much, but it's just levels to watch. See how we came, look at what we did here. We came up and tested this beautifully. And that's why me going long is stupid. I caught a couple scalps here and there, but reality is that, I expect this to roll over. This, came right up to a zone. Once we broke through this, which is quite, that was dramatic. We smashed through it. We came up and we've just creeped right up to the zone, So now what? Now what do we do? On SPX, we have hold on. We have this hourly here, right? So I don't know which one's bigger. I think that closed over it, right? What's the close on that? 3902 spot 8. 3902 spot 8. Okay, so this is dead on, right? So now this is what's going to happen here. We're going to take these and we're just going to fucking bleed them and we'll restart. All right, so now we will do some drawings. We're going to add, I know I'm skipping around here, guys, but I want to put this in. So because this close is the same on these candles, I go back to the further, the further back in time, right? The one that started this zone. That's how you want to make sure you're grabbing the candle that, that initiated this zone being here. And that was respected, twice, afterwards. So, but it's important to know which one's higher. If this candle closed, if this middle candle closed higher, then, that would be your hourly demand or hourly supply. Sorry. It's a supply zone, by the way. So it's a big fucker. I've seen it now that the futures don't have this, right? Theirs is a little bit higher. So just be cautious, but definitely be aware. I always keep this chart up when I'm trading. Same with NQ. I keep my, my whatever NASDAQ chart that we use. If we get back under this 3885, or I'm sorry, 3887, 88, reject off the bottom of the zone, start falling back down, get under the 9 EMA on the 1 hour, and we could be pretty good. We're actually, if you see what we're doing, we're kind of chasing the what is this? This is the 50-day. Yeah, 50-day moving average, right? So we're kind of just stepping up along it. The 100 days up here, so maybe we get a push to 39.16 on SPX. I don't know. I'd want to see an hourly close above this before that happens. Maybe it pushes up, tomorrow, tags that 100 and then that's it. So, and if it gets over that, guys, then, we'll at that point, we'll go bullish, or, I'm happy to talk about bullish scenarios. All right, so let's go a little bit higher here and then we'll be done with this. We can go on to the next thing. I see this area here, very important. Obviously, we can try this. This daily candle up here on the top. I don't know if this is going to be the actual zone, but it's a good spot to start, right? We'll start here and take a look. What does it look like for us? Looks like the chart's all fucked up now. Yeah, so not bad, right? This is, it's something that's been going on. You did get a pop afterwards. This is a good area to talk about, actually, because this is where I think people get screwed up too. There's not a lot of red going on here. So how would you put this in looking back in time, right? You probably would have picked this here, like this candle, these two candles look like there's a zone here. Let's throw that on actually while we're sitting here talking. And the thing is, that that's going to be a zone. We had this push here, touched. We had the closes inside. We came up, struggled again, finally got the pop, came back down. So back to what I was getting at though. See how these kind of climb up, right? Definitely making higher highs, but they're just kind of, they're kind of climbing up. They're smaller steps. Once you clear this zone, right? You have two big candles, bigger than anything that you had here on this way up, besides this initial candle. You get this pop and then boom, right up, right? So that tells me that there is something going on here. Obviously, looking back, you can see the wick where it touched here. You got the bodies of the candle kind of sitting in it. It's more of a sloppy zone, but it is one that we had. And that's why, we knew that coming up here was going to be a dangerous spot. Obviously, the 200-day, this was when we all shorted Apple, I think. Or shorted everything because Apple was going to roll over. But sorry, I'm looking at text. All right, so that's kind of what I would look at here as far as zones go. I mean, I'd say I prefer doing it on the 4 hour, obviously, but I think it's good just to have some relative zones. So if you have an extra chart, throw this up and just, even if you don't keep it, right, just kind of pay attention, be like, okay, if we push up, obviously 4K is right up here. So, I mean, they're pretty standard 4100s right here. So, I mean, I guess that's not too much of a revelation, but the thing is, we know that there's other reasons that we have these zones. A lot of shit's going on here. So, right, that's the 200-day sitting up there, 40 or 4K. You got this one sitting here just over 3,900. And you got this shit looking like weak sauce trying to, I don't know. That just looks, it does not, like, I know, like, okay, head and shoulders, right? It's going to rip up, but this looks like one that's going to fail. It really does in my eyes. And maybe I'll be wrong. It's hard to say, of course, but it definitely looks weak. So not something that not something I'd be buying a ton of right now. But anyways, what else was I going to say? I guess that's it. There are underneath us. Let's find one more underneath us. All right, so thing that stands out is this little bearish candle right here, right? I can see this big drop down. We had some interaction here. Let me zoom in. Right, I'm talking about this little one here. I like that it's in between my zones, although you could have a zone here, here, and then also up here, right? So, I mean, doesn't have to be like the only ones on it, but it depends on how crowded you want to get your chart, right? So let's throw some lines on it and we'll check out what it looks like. Oops. All right, so now we can see, not bad, right? We had the interaction here, retest, big drop down, made a little slight something, drop some more. We busted up through, but we immediately came back and retested it. Came back down, came back up. Yeah, so I mean, not a bad zone, obviously. So let's leave it at that for now. I will. Do we want one in here? Man, I hate to crowd it up, but yeah, so this is what I see on this here. I see this, these candles here doing something, right? There's really not much for me to like immediately jump on, but when I slide over this way, I start looking at like the close of this candle. That's the open of this candle, right? It all kind of lines up. So let's throw one on that and see what it looks like. And we could even choose like here, maybe. And to me, that looks nice and clean, right? It's where, you could take bets, you could take your trades from one zone to the next and just, obviously, buy with a little bit of time, give yourself a little bit of room. Don't put a lot into the position, but, try to buy when the zones get touched and just, play it down to the next one. Like that's something that's very simple. And again, you could wait for the break, right? Wait for this thing to break down. You don't have to be on the train, first one on the train. You just want to make sure that you're on the train when it starts to leave. So something to consider. And just for a reminder, I just want to remind everybody how absolutely dismal the fucking volume is here. And I know there have been some times back in 2020 when that happened, but yeah, just not something that I expect, especially in the Christmas season. This volume does not look like it doesn't look like anything else, right? Like for a while. I mean, you have maybe this shit here, but we always had spikes, right? We have big spikes. Everything's doing something. And this shit is just pathetic. I mean, this is like, I don't know, a shoe. Looks like a shoe, toe of an old boot or something. It's just there's no umph in there. We had a little bit of volume pop, obviously. What was that? Yeah, Tuesday. So anyways, keep that in mind. It's just it's crazy to me how low it is. So especially considering if everybody's buying, this is buy, buy. We're gonna be bullish. And I know most of you guys in here aren't, so don't take that in any way. But yeah, it's just, you hear people talk, and I get that they're, job market's strong. My wife just had her last interview to get a director position for this new company. It's gonna be a fucking, yeah, dude, it's gonna be a 50% pay raise, right? It's almost locked in. Like all they got to do is sign the paperwork officially. But a 50% pay raise because she's just hustling and pushing her shit out there and just, making contacts using LinkedIn. Anyway, so the job market is strong. It's, it's a startup, whatever. It's, there is money still being dumped in. It's like ARC still managed to get like 50 million bucks, right? Something like that this year. Maybe it's more than that. I can't remember how much people put into ARC, or gave Kathy Woods to manage this whole year, so. But with that said, where's the volume here, right? I just don't think it's all coming in yet. I think that it will, but I think we're going to have to make new lows. So, all right, so let's look at, that's enough for this. Let me post this chart, or let me share it. And then we'll go look over some of the stuff going forward here. Do you guys have anything that, that you guys want to go over? I'm going to put it in zones practice too, because you guys, if one of the things I want to do in going into the new year is like homework, right? And of course, obviously it's, do it if you want to type of shit. But the thing is, if you have, I'll put a chart out and it's like, hey, sometimes we'll do the supply and demand zones. Sometimes we'll do these kind of zones, and it'll be kind of an interaction. We can, the idea is that we can all talk about it. Obviously, once the new year breaks, we're going to focus going to focus a little bit on YouTube as well, maybe do some live streaming there. So we may, the idea is that we probably will get new people pulled in. But the discussion around the charts will help a lot of that too. So, hopefully you guys can all get involved. There's a lot of stuff that'll be fun here in the future, I think. Give opportunities, and it'll help, I think, answer a lot of the questions instead of having to wait for a class. Like for me, it's like, hey, let's do this chart. It'll be something that's interactive and it'll keep going throughout the whole, it's not just like a one night thing. It'll be something that we can work on continuously. So.
Yeah, I would like that, brother. Let me know. I appreciate that one.
Yeah, well, we'll be doing it. It's, it really just after the new year, I'm going to have, I want to like have the schedules for the classes set, something that we can all rely on. I don't know if I want to do Sunday. That's something I want everybody's opinion on for real, right? Is, do you guys like this? I'd rather almost do like a Saturday and then like a Monday or Tuesday night call, right? Just because of how shit changes. But I do want to hear, if people really like the Sunday call, then that's fine. The Sunday night, pre-market. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of times where we could hop in and onto a call and trade futures on Sunday night and chit chat. But I think the analysis gets chewed up because, things change so quickly Monday morning, and not every week, but a lot of weeks. So anyways, if you guys have thoughts on that, post it in the chart or in the chat and just tag me. I would appreciate it. I'm thinking I'd like to move away from it, do it on Saturday. The only thing that I think we could do on Sunday is the EMs, right? The expected moves. So maybe we'd have like a quick, 15, 20 minute going through and just doing the EMs, that type of thing, just in and out. That's it. And then, that could be our Sunday night thing. I don't know. That's something to think about. So, if you guys have any thoughts on that, definitely throw them down in the chat, tag me. And Tommy's working in the background, this SJ, Andrew, Jesus Christ. And, there's a few people that are all just kind of helping the background. So the idea is that we can kind of build this up to where it's more interactive, throughout the week. So, all right, SPX from the call. So I put it in zones and practice, but I will put it in the trade ideas as well. Or I'm sorry, not trade ideas, the TR charts and plays. All right, so what do you guys want to work on?
Do you have time to touch on the VIX?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, VIX is probably going to come down and test this monthly or this weekly demand here again. That's what I'm watching for, man. This pop was nice, but obviously I wanted more. I still think, though, here's the thing, I'm still very, fairly confident. I don't want to be overly cocky or anything, but that that these levels are going to hold. The weekly, I mean, if you look at the weekly, right, all we've done, we got a little bit of a bounce here and it's coming down. If SPX rolls over, which I assume it will, this is going to probably come down and test, this 19 spot 37. So 1937, right? It'll probably come down and test some of this. It is possible, keep in mind, to come all the way down and test the 1724. So that's why what I'm buying has time. And I will, obviously what I have, I did cash out of some of it here, like we talked about, but the ones that go into March, I'm still holding on to. I do add to them a little bit, but I didn't this past week because I feel like I'd rather see a base again and then a little bit of a movement, and then that's where I'll add on, because I know this thing can drop. It's definitely being manipulated. And until we get that big capitulation, there's not going to be as much volume going into the SPX options, longer expirations, which is where you get that consistent IV, which then allows the VIX to actually represent maybe the fear that's in the market. This is pretty, considering the terms of the market, the way, how do I put this? What I would say is the reality of what's going on in the market. The fact that, even though jobs are strong, I think, we're still going to see some pain. This seems low to me, right? I mean, it's not low in the grand scheme of things because the VIX, looks like that over time. We're a third of the way up the main body here. This is kind of our, from 30 down to 30 to 10 basically is our range. So I mean, we're getting, it's not super low, but it still seems low to me. It just seems artificially low. So what are you in? Like what expiration are you in?
I'm in the January 18th.
Okay, so I think you're going to be fine with that. I really do. The the question is whether you would want to average down on it, add to it, or just kind of wait it out. It's definitely one of those positions you just want to let it play out, right? Because I think time wise, you selling, I don't know where you bought it at. Do you know where you bought it at on this chart?
Not from that chart right there. I bought the day you sent the alert out though. So whatever day that was is when I bought originally, and then I sold, and then I bought again at a lower price, and then I've averaged down. So I'm in at a better price than the original alert, but
okay, yeah.
Wondering.
No, I mean, look, it's dropping. It's not cooperating for sure. Well, I shouldn't say it's not cooperating because it did rip up and get above 25. And that was, that's one of, so a lot of those went in the money. Now they weren't as profitable if you bought them obviously up here, but the fact that, we could average down as it came down and touched this weekly, level that we knew about. And the daily, when it touched the daily, I think I bought here and then I bought back here somewhere in this level. These are weekly candles. So I'm just trying to look to see when did I post the VIX? I think that was with Tesla, right?
It was, yes. Same time.
Yeah, and like Tesla, obviously it went up a bunch of times. Yeah, okay, so that was 11/22 is when I started buying it. So that was this candle here. Yeah. So 11/22, right? November 22nd. So bought inside of this guy and bought here. So yeah,
Okay.
you bought I mean, we can go to the day and see what day it was. So the 22nd was right here. So as it came into this daily level here,
Yeah.
that's when I sent out that alert, right? So those, let's see, the Januaries are, sorry, the 30 and 25. Yeah, so $1.58 to 280. So let's see where they're at. I got to open up TOS. Give me a second, but
Yeah, I bought the 25s. They made like a new low today. Just the contract did.
did you not sell any up here?
No, I did.
Okay.
But I bought back in when it dipped down, and then they've just dipped on down again because I
Yeah.
thought they would go higher than what they did.
Yep. For sure, dude. And it's this rally too, you know. I mean, you look at SPX and it's the rally that we're in. The fact that we rallied
Yeah.
off of this definitely didn't, I mean, that's a pretty big rip, right? We went from, what is that,
Right.
37.75, and now we're up at basically 3,900. So
Yeah.
that's a big rally. So it makes sense to me that the VIX, is doing something here, but at the same time, the other one, we'll take a look at. Let's see what, hold on. Sorry. So I'm looking at Tesla, not VIX. That would probably help. Yeah, keep in mind too, man, that these all expire. The VIX is an AM expiration across the board. So you want to make sure you're out of it or done whatever you're going to do before the day of expiration, because it's an AM expiration, so it expires before cash open. I think it's
okay.
like I think it expires technically. They settle on those at like 8 a.m. something like that. So but don't quote me on that exactly. It's all right. So the puts,
Well, I'm
it's
thinking
really weird.
SPX
Where's the
will
fucking
roll
VIX
over,
at?
like you said, and if it does, then they should come back to life. But if it doesn't, if we go up, I'll just go ahead and get out of them.
Yeah, so the 25s are at $1.20. So they're down quite a bit. They're down 50%, more than 50%. 30s are 57 cents. So they're
Yeah,
obviously down, almost a
my
third,
cost is $1.70 in them now. I bought back at $1.70, so I'm still
on
down.
the 30s.
No, on the 25s.
Okay, so you bought in at, yeah, so you bought in at what'd you say?
Think
Sorry, $1.70.
Yeah, and they're what, $1.20.
Yeah. So, and the spread on is kind of big right now, but again, in my opinion, I'm holding them for sure. So, I have confidence in it. But I also plan, like, if we get down to this monthly demand, right, which is down here, that's this candle here, right? This is that orange. It's very close to this guy, but again, this is kind of tied into this shit. The thing is that that would still be a buy for me. I mean, if you look at this, you look at the slope, whatever you want to call it, the trend. I don't know, I guess you could do that. But the reality is that it could easily dip down into this, right? But that's going to be where the buy is at. So the key is obviously timing. If we, for some reason, get this big dip down, the next ones, if you're going to buy anything, instead of averaging down on your Januaries, buy the Marches, right? And that's, and again, I know they're more expensive. It costs a little bit more money, but the reality is that'll still add to your position. That'll still compensate for your position. It'll just give you a little bit of time. And that way, if you do get a pop, if we get a nice pop, that'll say it comes up to this daily gap area right here, right around 20, 21 bucks. At that point you could get out of some of your shit if you needed to, on January, and then you're basically rolling it, right? But you're not rolling it technically, you're doing it. You're just trying to maximize any profits. So I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you care to post that we're looking at right now?
The chart? Yeah, I can post it. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
thank you.
I'll put it in the TR charts in place. And I'll put I can put a couple. I'll put let's do the day or the weekly and the daily.
Yeah, you've got a couple posted under the VIX chart section, but it's just like 2 charts and it's not many lines. or
Oh, you
many
know what?
zones.
Yeah, I forget all about, I forget that we have those down there. So yeah, let me, you know what? I'll post
in
this
there,
in
yeah.
that too.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's
Cool,
that's the other thing. I got to clean that up. You know, there's a lot of shit I need to do. I haven't had the time, obviously, and I was fucking sick. I feel like
No, you're good,
getting
man.
beat
That's
down,
cool.
man. But no, I like, you know, I don't want to have, I don't have the time to do all of these charts, but I think it'd be good to have like even just the ETH and Bitcoin, right? And the Euro and the USD JPY, you know, to have the main levels on those, and then I'll just leave them, right? And then probably these ones underneath I won't fuck with. Just probably keep like, you know, the ETFs, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, you know, and just leave it at that. So I don't know. I don't want, you know, I whatever's there, I want to make sure obviously I'm using, or, you know, making sure I'm putting the charts in there, because it's definitely frustrating to go in and see an old chart.
Mhm. No, you're good, man. I appreciate it. I'll go
Yeah.
on mute.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I'm happy. I'm glad to talk about it. If anybody else has something you want to look at or chat about, feel free. Just posting these in the VIX channel. All right, so let's look. Let's look at hold on. Let's go back to the day. Split this down. Let's look at the DXY real quick. So this is important too. So this is our weekly, right? It looks like we're trying to break the support, but we do need a weekly close. Last weekly close did not, you know, ended up closing back above. So this is very, I don't, you know, this is more strange to me in a sense, but at the same time, I know this monthly demand is down here. Right. And I'll post these charts too in the the appropriate channel there, you know, in the DXY. But the thing is, like, this is monthly demand. Would not surprise me at all to see it wick down and touch that 103 spot 212, and you know, and have a little a moment. Oh, I did post these actually. Okay, I'll post them again. But you know, if you guys look in the DXY, you'll see this is basically what I'm watching, right? So again, we have pretty solid weekly demand and monthly demand. So similar to the Tesla chart, when you get two of them that are lining up like this, it's a pretty, you know, pretty strong area, right? Most likely going to act as a magnet. So I could see the DXY coming down and testing this area, but I really don't see it breaking this. I think something would change. Something would have to be changing pretty rapidly. And I just don't see that happening yet. With that said, anything's fucking possible. So just keep your eyes on this chart, and you know, we'll see what it does day to day. But you know, daily wise, we have our daily demands here, our daily support, I should say, was broken, you know, this day here. So it looks like we're getting continuation downward. Do keep in mind, this is a, you know, this is a fucking pretty sloping channel here, right? So at the end of the day, would we, you know, it's probably going to break up, right? So let's see, we could do something like, hold on. Let's do the bottom. Yeah, something like that, I guess. I guess it is that fucking slow. All right, so you know, something like that anyway. So it's that it wouldn't surprise me to see this break up, I guess is my point here, right? Like come down, touch, you know, touch the monthly demand, like it's like the chart says that it should, and you know, fucking and rip up at that point. Now, where's it gonna go? It's hard to say. Could definitely come back up to this 108 area here. But you know, we'll see what happens. But I think we can get a nice rip out of this if you know, once this channel gets broken. So you can actually set alerts on channels, right? So exiting channel. All right, only one open-ended alert. Boom. So now if this exits this channel, you know, I'll get an alert on it. So pretty simple. This is why I love TradingView. It's why I pay the money for TradingView, so I can get alerts on anything that I need. All right, so I posted those down in the VIX, or I'm sorry, the DXY channel, but the charts above that are the same, right? And they're pretty clean. So do check them out. Take a look at it. So all right, so those are on the day. Let's see here. Saving itself. All right, so let's go back to this. Let's talk about what we're actually seeing going into tomorrow. So what I see here is just a, it's a retest back up to the zone. It's going to really be imperative what we see going forward related to the zone here. And, obviously the hourly supply, that's a big deal. It's just sitting out here by itself. Like, this is where the supply is. It's not surprising at all that it's right near zone, half inside of it, right? That's what we see consistently. This zone has been here for a while. We got some almost interaction on it here. We did get the retest in it here. So to see it come down and actually close underneath was a pretty good signal, right? Underneath this regular zone that we have. Once we got this close below, yeah, consolidated here, distributed, whatever they want to call it. But because it stayed underneath the zone level, it just seemed weak. And of course, we did get the fall afterwards, right? So I was coming back up to this, and look at what the 50 and the 100 is doing, right? And this is the 200. I mean, they're creeping very close. The 50 day is looking like it wants to cross the damn 100. So, just keep that in mind, I guess, right? I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. What I would be watching for is, so what we watch for anybody that's new, that's not sure, this is our hourly supply. So what we want to see is hourly closes back below, right? To go short. Now, if you want to go long, you'd want to probably take the trade off of the support, right? This is actually the supply level, but the bottom of this zone. But I would say I would probably wait until it gets above the regular OG zone, right? Because this 38.94.6 is obviously acting as a ceiling right now inside of this hourly supply. So to the downside, once we start seeing some hourly closes underneath this, and especially under this 9 EMA right now that it is riding up, you guys see that, right? Where this wick came right down to the 9 EMA on the hourly. This is like one of the few indicators that I really like, that I like to have on my chart. And again, I normally use it on the 5 minute, but we can obviously use it on the 1 minute, or the 1 hour, pretty relative, or pretty easily. Once you get trending, it comes in very handy. Same with this downside, right? Like, that you can keep going short every time it pops up, as long as it's not closing back above the 9 EMA. And even when it does here, right, it struggled at that 9 and then boom, dropped. But again, having these zones, knowing that this is a big daily demand area, it didn't surprise me that it kept dipping down. I actually thought it could have come down to 37.50 just to kind of fill that whole zone before finding support to the upside. So that didn't happen. It is what it is. What I see here is definitely like a head and shoulders type of setup, maybe, but again, I think it's going to be this retest of previous supply right at the zone, previous support as it came down, started to build up, created that supply zone, and now we're testing it. So, and again, look at this. Like, this is the first time we've tested it since we got the big break out of it. We tried to retest it here, but we didn't quite get to it. And then, this past price action here from today is what we've seen testing it. So this is the first time we test the supply zone for real. And I think, let's see what it does. If we start to see, action pushing it down out of this, it's going to be a decent short. Now for a target, I'm looking, I would look towards these zones, right? And a little bit above. So I'd probably look for like 38.65, maybe 38.67 even, as a short target, or at least to start, skimming. You are going to have to wait. You could say this is kind of a demand level. I would go to a smaller time frame and find, so like, let's do this, go to the 5 minute, and we will find our 5 minute demand, right? So we're looking for, there's going to be a couple of them here, but I want to find the bottom one, right? So I come over here and I say, all right, this bearish candle is the lowest, the body, right? When I snap lines on this, I don't see any candle closing below that. So the body of the candle's not sticking down. So that's going to be pretty important spot. Watch it to break. I could also see, buying calls here or buying, going long on the futures as it touches here. Just, keep a tight stop as it goes up, because I assume it will reverse. But again, we don't know, right? Maybe it dips down, touches this, and then fucking rockets up. It's done it. It did it down here. There was, the demand right here, right? So there's this damn thing. And it, it came down and tested the regular zone, because the zones are king. The OG zones are OG for a reason. They work really well. So, I mean, it's something that again, like, you want to learn your own strategy, but put these lines on your chart so like when we're coming into one. That's just the best recommendation I can give you. But anyway, so you see how it tested it and then we ripped up. So that is a possibility, of course. Let's steal that and we'll come up and do it here. All right, so that's going to be a 5-minute demand. Now, the next one, right? The only other one that I'm going to care about is this right here, which we can definitely do. There are other 5-minute zones, but at this point, you're up inside that hourly level, and that's what I want to watch, right? So I don't care as much about the 5-minute demand zones that are up here, like this guy, that qualifies. This one here qualifies. If you're trading, it's not going to matter because we're going overnight, but snapping lines on it throughout the day is very important. So I look here and I'm like, okay, where's, I'm looking for bearish candle, right, below price. And I say, okay, consecutively back, in time. So we come to this here. It's like, okay, this guy is here. Let's look where it wicks down to, which is where my crosshairs are. Does it touch these bearish candles? No, it doesn't, right? So you could say, okay, let's snap a line there. It's not, I mean, it's important to know like where these spots are. And again, the top matters as well. But change them throughout the day if you're gonna, as you put them on, delete them or move them, whatever, because we're not trying to use these over and over. And you can see how this works, right? Why this is so effective. So that's your demand here, right? The next demand down is going to be this little guy, because this candle wicks into it. So that would make this bearish candle the next 5-minute demand. But for now, we have this guy. And look what the candles have done inside of it, right? They have, we got push up. You can just see how the candles respect these levels. So, we got this little doji candle, right? Oops, what did I do? Fucking moving the thing, screwing it up. Anyways, we got to push. You guys see it? I don't want to put my cursor on it, but I'm looking at this doji bullish candle. Went right to the 38.90 spot 4. Then you get this one, right? We get the close above. We got the retest. Where did it close? Right at 38.90 spot 4. Right. The reasons that it does that is because this is the 5-minute demand. This is the zone it wants to beat. You finally got to close above, come down and retest. Boom, pushes up. Where's it go? Right to the zone, 38.94 spot 6. It's like, who the fuck would have known that? And it's not, and again, guys, it's not like I have any super secret. It's just literally looking at the charts and just focusing on what levels stand out. And then what happens is we see shit like this all the time, where the 5-minute is coming up and touching that 38.94.6 to a T, so, and then here we come back down, we test it, got a pop, we close above, we close where? Right at 38.90 spot 4, close right on it, and then bloop down in, but the next candle pops us right back up. So am I bullish here? If I was trading futures, I would have bought, I'd go long off this, off the retest, but I'm also would have gone short off this if we hadn't been, if I was paying attention. So does that make sense? You guys, like, is that good? You guys enjoy that? Or is that like, yeah, you already know that? What do you think?
No, you're good, brother. You're good. I like it.
All right, cool.
I think that going over it multiple times really helps us stick, if that makes sense, helps it stick.
Absolutely.
There's no one that can learn something. Well, there possibly could be, but most people learn with repetition. And that's what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, that's why I do this, right? That's why I've like do the spaces, and I want the group to grow, and I want to have conversation, because what it does is it keeps me focused on the stuff that matters, right? Like it keeps me sharp on my own strategy. You know what I mean? And obviously there's community, there's a lot of good ideas that come in. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that why, people are like, why do you spend so much time like teaching and just trying to explain shit and being involved? And it's like, because it keeps me sharp on the shit that works for me. And the proof is in the pudding, right? So it's been one of the best years that I've had. So obviously by far. So I mean, again, so I agree with what you're saying, SJ, anyways, like, because it works for me, right? The repetitive, like, I know this, I can find these on the charts, but teaching this to you guys, like, it makes me really focus in and just not be lazy about shit, because that's super easy for me to just kind of be lazy. I get distracted, I don't know, there's a lot of things that happen throughout the day. So that's great. All right, so and I'll post this to you guys. I can throw this up in the SPX. The SPX, yeah, you know what, I like that better. I'll throw it in the SPX, not the TR charts and plays. I should be just using all these big ones that we use should just be here. I'll throw the hourly in it as well, and just keep in mind these zones are going to change as we go. So
As a suggestion on that, I would like to have something all in one place. Like if you're going to do the chart list like you have, do, the big techs, your Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Tesla, and Meta, and then have your MES, your ES, your SPX, but all in one place. Because sometimes when I'm looking for a chart, when I'm looking for, a level that you may see and I don't have,
yep, yeah,
I'm going to like 4 different places, and I would like
Yeah.
it to be in a central location.
the thing. So the goal
If
here,
that's okay.
no, definitely, and that's the goal here, right? So you guys see the Discord, right? The goal here, sorry, hold on. I just do. There we go. Okay, so the goal here is to this is to have this channel, right? So the top charts, that's where everything should go. And once this is reorganized, the TR charts and plays, right, is going to probably be changed to a different name, just like any extra charts, you know what I mean? Because obviously, like, we'll post shit that's not, that's not going to be listed here. That'll probably be at the top, right? So it's like but the main ones, and I need to be better off. I need to be a little bit better at posting them here. But you're right, the main ones I'll post in here. Now, throughout the day, I do like posting shit in the futures, just so that you can see like what the play is going on. But is that what you're talking about though? Like, would that help? Like, obviously having everything.
Yeah, if you're in a
right
play
here,
and you're like, hey, look, this is bouncing off of here right now,
right?
that's fine
Futures
going into one place. But
yeah.
I like to compare my charts. I do my charts and then I want to compare them to what you got to see if there's anything that I missed.
Yep, that's the
And I wind
top
up-
charts here. Yeah, that's the
and I
goal.
wind up
Yeah.
going 2 or 3 places just to make sure I haven't missed anything, and I would like to just be able to go to one place.
Spot. Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, and that I agree. And so like SPX and then the micro is, like having these listed out, that's kind of the point here for sure. And the goal is to move like the TR charts in place, kind of do away with that, right? I mean, I shouldn't say do away with that, but have that be other charts, right? Just like the rest of it. I don't know what we'll call it, but
Okay.
it'll most likely be moved. I mean, I guess I can move it now. Keep current permissions. Can do something like that. And it'll be here in the top charts. But again, if you want, and I'll rename this, but these are where everything will be. The only thing I will say is that I'm not always updating like the 5-minute levels on these charts.
No, it's the long ones. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the longer term ones that I would like. I mean, I don't know if anybody else does, the same thing or uses those charts, but it's the longer term levels that I like. The 5 minutes, I find those pretty quickly, and I really don't have time to go and find comparables for it.
Absolutely.
Because they move so fast.
Yeah. And listen, the goal here, right? The whole point of this is for you guys to be able to do this, like, as you're looking at and on the charts. That's where the real am I trying to say? That's where like the real success comes from, right? Is when you can just do it right on the chart. You start seeing these levels pop up, and you know, and I mean, it's not always perfect, but it does work pretty well. So we you know, but yeah, so that's good to know, honestly, SJ. That's, you know, and anyone else too, like I said, if you have, and again, I'm going to cut a lot of these out. There's just too many of them. It's just too much for me to like keep up with, because I'm not even trading half of these most of the time. So there's just not a lot of time to update them. But if somebody wants a chart, like the bigger, you know, like Netflix or Meta or Nvidia, AMD, SMH, like if that, you know, the reality is that like that could be sitting in the you know, extras, or I don't know what I'm going to name that yet, but we'll do something.
Miscellaneous charts.
Yep. Oh yeah, you guys can't see that anymore. Jesus Christ. Anyways, this stuff here, guys, you know, there's nothing in it right now. So to do all these is a little nuts, but what I do want to have, though, I may leave the big guys just so that the bigger zones are up on it. But definitely this is where our focus is, right? The MES, the MNQ, also the Dow. I want to get into trading the Dow futures, because I think the Dow is going to have a really good opportunity to the short side, you know, at some point here. So anyways, yeah, let's see what happens. You know, we're still, I mean, this is an hourly chart. We're still making these pumps up. Definitely watching 38.94 spot 6. We can go let's look at the ES. All right, so the ES is a very similar type of setup, right? It's not exact, but if you look, what happened is this one actually closed above here. So here, hold on. Oops. All right, so this guy here, which needs to be blue, is our hourly supply on ES and MES, right? And so it's a little sketchy because it's just, you know, it's a couple ticks above this big ass candle. So that's something to keep in mind as we're looking at the zone. So, you know, as we shit. Hold on, let's see if I can. All right, let's do this. Yeah, this ridiculously pink that I have to adjust and really go in and work on. You know, the thing is, we have, instead of, you know, we could look at this guy here, is my point. I want to keep, you know, I want to keep it true to the chart. So on SPX, this is our hourly supply that we're into. And you see the rejection as we're coming up. But the thing is, we know on the ES, on the futures, it's really working off this one candle here that we had to check the close on, right? These are the two candles that we were looking at when we're trying to figure out where they closed, and they closed exactly on the same spot. So literally the close, and you guys can see it up here, right? See where my cursor is? As I get on the candle. So that close was 39.02 spot 8, and this close was 39.02 spot 8. So when we talk about these little decimal places, right? It's one thing to round like the expected moves, right? Round them up a little bit. That's all good in my opinion. You know, round up to the next dollar. But with, you know, when it comes to these specific levels, it's super important to have the exact level, because this is what happens. You get closes that are, you know, within, you know, a tenth of a point. So definitely key anyway. So let's keep an eye on this. There is this old, let's see. Yeah, this is that old hourly supply. I'm gonna get rid of that. Shit. Anyways, I'll get rid of that later. This looks a lot better here. So yeah. Anyways, watch the zone. So the zone, that's one thing on ES, right? The way that I do this when I try to copy it over is I literally look and I say, okay, I know that, you know, that my bottom, my zone is right where we wicked up to on that last candle on the hourly. So I snap it in right there, right? So I know that that's my zone, and you can see it match up with the candles. So that's where you're that's where you want to get your main spot from, right? You want to like just match up with the candles as best as you can. So like the next one is up here. So like, what the fuck do we do with that? And it's kind of like, For now, what I do is without going out and spending a ton of time the second to do it, I literally am looking at the candles and I'm just going to snap it in. The other thing you can do is look at the distance between, right? A lot of times is the same. So this is, what is that? 94 to, or no, you know, it's not. This is like fucking, yeah, it's 20, right? 20 and what is that? 20 and like 15, something like that. Anyways, yeah. So that's what I got here because I see, I can see this here. What I'm looking at is this white line right here, right? That white line. So I see that this candle pushed up, didn't quite get to it. It went through this one, but just a little bit on the top. Didn't touch the bottom of this wick. So I see all of that happening right here, right? And kind of close. This one went through about a third, whatever. This one doesn't get close to it. So I mean that I see that and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good for the, for the zone. So anyways, but all right. So what else? Anything else you guys want to go over before we wrap it up?
Hey, brother, I have one question though.
Yeah.
When you make your zones, do you make your supply zone on the way down and your demand zones on the way up? Or do you like to look back and check the other candles in that same neighborhood to see if it's valid? Because I've been paper trading on TraderView. I've been paper trading the futures on TraderView, and I was just wondering because I figured out the zones a little bit, but I was wondering, do you? Because I know you like to look back and see how the candles interact with the price action before.
Yeah, the thing is, if you do it on the futures, it's tough because you end up there's a lot of gaps on the futures.
Right.
But I like taking the levels from SPX, 500 USD and just marking them down on my futures chart because then at least I know it's going to come in and tag it. But the thing is, these white zones I get differently. When you're looking at the supply and demand, those are literally just whatever we build off of, right? So going back to like this chart, let's do this real quick. Let's just make all of this. These are what the OG zones, and then here, because we can make them all disappear.
Yeah, I'm trying to get used to TraderView, brother. So
yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you're doing it, man. I think that's a smart decision. I know it's not easy for everybody to switch over to and get used to, and it's another account to fund and all that shit, but I think it is worth it. So let's look at this real quick. If we're looking at the hourly, let's say this is SPX, just bare ass, right? Same chart as what we're just looking at. When I'm looking for supply here, I see where price is right now, and I literally use my crosshairs and I look to the left, right? And I say, okay, these guys are above the current price, the close of these candles, right? So I start looking and I say, okay, this candle's the first one. Where's that one close? And we know, I closed at 39.02 spot 8. We look at this one, it says, 39.02 spot 8, same close. So I go back to this first one, and that's, I already see and I'm always looking for a bullish candle when I'm looking for supply, right? Supply is always going to be above your head and demand is always going to be below price, right? So supply is above price, demand is below price. And it makes sense, right? As you come down, there's more demand. People want to buy something, it gets cheaper price. So they all step in and that actually pushes the price up. Right. And when it gets to a certain point, there's too much supply, meaning there's too many shares, not enough buyers. Right. So the buyers have gone away or there's not enough of them. And you see that price start to roll back over. So what we see in charting is that we literally end up seeing, this is why people will start taking profits up here. They see the supply. These algos know that this is an area that is important, especially with this drop coming out of it. So as you push up on this big push, we don't actually get up here and touch this, right? And that the reason for that, in my opinion, is that, it's because you're getting into an area of supply, you're dumping your shares, right? You took that big run, made a bunch of money, everybody's happy, whatever, right? And you fucking get out, And here we chop around and we're pushing higher, but most of the money is out of it right here. And look down at the volume, right? You can see it's this blue, which is, it's not huge, but it's the biggest of the day. You know what I mean? Like that's the tallest of the day. So pretty interesting anyways. So talking about supply mills, does that make sense though? Like looking at how I find the supply zone?
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, you know how you got that little zone right there? You got the 2 red candles right beside it. Would you look back at that green candle like, all right, this is my supply zone. I would draw this line out. So when you,
Which one are you talking about? Back
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Yeah, so once I see price, especially when we were looking at it back here, I see price, coming up. I looked, definitely. I looked to the left and I looked to where these things close, which is the top of the body.
Right.
And these two happen to match up perfectly. So this one is where I go to. But and that's the thing. Then I snap lines on the body of that candle. So once I've identified it has, and I don't care about the red candles. I don't care about the bearish candles. I only care about the bullish candles when we're talking about supply.
Right.
Now demand is the opposite, right? So you could say you have some support here, but because these candles are coming up and rejecting off of this supply, in my opinion, these candles are owned by this zone up here already. So what I would look for in demand, let me just throw this in real quick, sorry. What I would look for in demand, I wouldn't worry about this area here so much. What you could do is just to be aware, right? You throw a line in there and you know that, okay, this might be hourly support here, at 38.78 spot 6, right? Now, the next one down, what I like to do is, let's see here. Is there anything over here? No. So what I'm doing right now is I'm checking. I see where this red wick comes down, right? I see right where that's at. And then I use my crosshairs and I come right over here and there's no red candle, right? There's no bearish candle. The demand is going to be lower. So I know that this would be a legitimate demand zone, this little fucking candle here. So there's a couple of things we can do that we talked about, a couple weeks ago. Instead of just having, I know that that's my support, right? But to make a zone out of it, you can either go to the top of the wick or you can use, better off, in my opinion, the candle right next to it and just kind of have a line there and just say, okay, this is what I'm watching as this comes down. Because this is such a tiny candle, right? That's a little hard to get a demand zone off of. So what I've been trying to do and working into it is either use the wick or, you use, like, I like the candle right next to it here because I came down, closed, so that's just something I would pay attention to. And just so you guys know, like when you see a wick down like this, that gets bought up quick, if you're short and you're riding it down and you've passed all these demand zones that are here that we're going to go into in a second, when you get down to these areas where these wicks come down and get bought up quick, like I would be exiting most of my position, right? I know that this is the zone we're waiting for, but the reality is that, you're probably gonna get chopped up. So if you're in puts, ride them bitches down and then start taking, make sure you're taking profits by the time you see these wicks here, right? As you come into these areas, because when these wick down, these got bought up quick, and it happened at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Tuesday. So again, pretty, there's going to be some buyers down here, is my point there. So now moving up to demand, this is the way that I do it, Mills. It's the best, and it's the best way to do it, in my opinion. You start here at the bottom. So I know that this is a demand zone here. And then I work my way up, right? And I say, okay, I know that this is going to be a demand zone. This bearish candle here, right? As I move through time, this bearish candle, like I look and it's, I know that it's the dominant one. So we can literally throw, hourly demand on that. Okay, so now we have that demand zone. Now here's the question coming in. This guy right here, right? The wick doesn't come down and touch this, right? But it does get into the area, and this is something that we can chat about. The wick on the candle that formed this demand zone, the wick comes all the way up to here. Now, normally I don't care about the wicks, but if I look across here, right, I can see that this is where support has been held like a bunch of times, right? So these candles, in my opinion, are connected to this demand zone here, more so than it being an individual one. So what I've done in the past is I've thrown just like a line up here. That's going to be your demand, right? If this was a demand zone, this would be the line. So I would just watch this line, right? It's another one of these where it doesn't have a whole zone. This is just a level that I'm watching, right? Because I see, even though this wick does not come down and touch the zone itself, this is still well in control of this fucking, if I put a dotted one up here across the top, right? That's the top of the wick of the candle that formed the demand zone. And what happens, it's where price holds pretty well here. So, I see that, I'm like, okay, this is owned by this, this demand zone. So the next one up, right? As I come up, I'm looking for, I look at this candle and I'm like, where is it? Where's the close, which is the bottom of the body? And is it hitting a bearish candle, behind it? Same with the wick. Is the wick going into the body of another bearish candle? It's not, right? So let's snap lines on it. We know that that's going to be. Sorry, we'll do this and then we can wrap it up, guys. Well, or unless someone has questions, of course. Shit, what did I just do? All intervals. Okay. So, and the prime example of this, right, is going to be like, look at this candle here. The reason this candle is not, this is not a demand zone, is because it dips down into this, into this zone, which is inside the body of this candle. So like, this is the dominant candle for this area. This candle here came down. All it did is, sellers stepped in, came down, buyers stepped back in, pushed it back up, right? So this level here, again, this comes down, the wick is, it's pretty damn close, right? It's the wick on this candle is pretty small, but when I look at this, I say, okay, this is still, in my opinion, an area, this is still controlled by this one. So I'm going to do the same thing where I snap a line on the top of it, because this is the demand level. So if I'm taking, if I'm in puts, right, tomorrow, let's say we flatten out here and we start to drop, I'm going to take some profits around 38.50, right? And it's psychological level as well. As you come into it, you can see though that this may be an area of interest, but the real demand, keep in mind, is down here at 38.9 down to 38.31. So basically the 38.30s is owned by a demand zone, and it's the same thing down here, right? I'm gonna get rid of that dotted line. Possible demand, sure, but more more realistically, this is going to be the big area. So I'll post this up in the I'll put this in the SPX as well.
I got you, brother. I appreciate it. I do have a question. I must have been looking up gap fills and all types of gaps. Do you ever hear of a fair value gap?
I assume that is I've heard the term used. I don't look them up. But it has to do with like the fair value of, per share. So people have talked about that on SPX, that like the fair value of SPY is down, like 300 or something like that, or like 250 or some shit. So that may be the gap, but yeah, I'm not 100% positive what the exact definition is, but the way I've always understood that from when I've heard people talking about it, is that, it's representing how big of a gap we have down to the fair value, which is normally a lot higher, because you gotta remember, a lot of these stocks are so jacked up, right? It's like Tesla's coming down, but what's its earnings per share, right? Like I want to know what its numbers are. It's starting, this next earnings is going to be interesting, to say the least. A lot of that shit's coming down. The multiples are coming down. They're falling apart.
What I seen what it was though, traders, it was like they used three candles and consecutive candles, and they used the wicks to create a zone out of it. Because I looked it up, I'm like, what is this fair value gap? And I YouTubed it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to ask Trader to see if he knows anything about this. But
yeah,
if you want to look it up, it's pretty cool. It's three candles consecutive, and on the outer candles they use the wick of them and make a zone in between. I think it was on Trend Spider or YouTube channel I saw. So just guessing.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? I know that the reason I don't get into other like zones and whatnot is because I know mine work, right? And but the levels I'm always interested in. Like I'm interested in like what level are they talking about? What do people think the fair value of SPX is, right? Or Tesla, and not just the people who hate Tesla, but like, I want to hear, unbiased opinions as much as possible. So it's kind of like knowing where the JPM collar is, right? Like you want to know where the JPM collar is at. You want to know, where the expected move is at for the week. and definitely like a fair value gap. Although I'm not sure what you're talking about with it. Like, are they that's just how they build their zones, you're saying?
Well, that's what I saw. I'll post the video I saw in the marketplace so you can maybe check it out. But it was just
Yeah.
3 consecutive candles and they used the wicks and it was a zone in between. And I just, like I said, it was something new. It popped up on my YouTube. So I watched it, a little bit of it. And I was like, oh, I had to ask Trader, see if he knows anything about it. Cause like I said, I'm kind of new.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of concepts of using the wick, you know, and people building zones certain ways. I think people overcomplicate it, but at the same time, I don't really have an opinion on it, but I also don't use them, right? Because I know the strategy that I like to use and that has worked is the one obviously that we talk about all the time. So the thing is though, like I understand, like if you can learn to structure a trade around the zones, right? And your zones are consistent and they're not just like made up out of fairy tale, you know, or fairy dust, then, you know, then I have no issue with that, right? I think that's totally fine at that point. So
Yeah, it's cool, bro. I'm just trying to learn that when I saw that come, I was trying to understand the gaps. And like I said, when it came up, I just figured I'll ask you about it because you know,
well,
I didn't know
are they looking at the gaps? Like, you
no,
know, like
no,
on SPY and shit?
let me see if you got one over here I could maybe look at. But what it
Yeah,
would
well,
do,
post the video and, you know, we can all check it
yeah,
out. But I mean,
yeah, I
again,
got you,
dude,
bro.
I mean, I will say this, you got to be careful, like looking at too many different strategies because they're not all going to work together necessarily, right? Like it's good
Right.
to know what levels are at, but if they're building zones on like the hourly chart that they're constantly adjusting and they're using like three candles with the wick and whatnot, that type of charting is not gonna, like, I wouldn't combine that with the shit that we're doing because you're gonna get false signals out of it.
Right. Well, that's why I
And
asked you,
you
brother.
want
I
to
just
really, yeah, I would focus on, you know, maintaining the zones that we talk about and, you know, and watching for the bounce, the close above, close below type of thing, and then
Yep.
take the signals from there. You know,
Yep,
but
I
again,
got you.
I mean, you can check. I mean, and I'm open to a lot of shit, so post it for sure because I'll check it out. But you just want to make sure you're not making the job harder on yourself. You know.
Right,
So,
right. Well, I didn't know how valuable it was. That's why let me see if Traders knows anything about it. But like I
yeah,
said, I
no,
just seen it pop up and it's I think it was Trend Spiders I follow on YouTube. So
yeah, no, they're good guys. I mean, you know, there's although, dude, I don't know if anybody saw the tweet that I put out was this was like a couple days ago, but the Doc Holiday guy who's got a ton of followers, dude. Bro, he fucking reposted shit from Alesso, right? Who's on Twitter. He's a really good follow. Like within like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, he fucking posted and he basically stole this. It was the exact same post, but instead of like retweeting it, right? He fucking like straight up copied it and posted it. And I'm like, dude, you see people like that, and I'm like, he's got huge followers. I put out a tweet. I'll post it. I'll find it and post it in the chat. But I'm
well,
like, you know, this is the garbage, bro, that we deal with. Like, there's so much garbage out there. Like,
that's
it's
one
I
thing I
don't.
appreciate.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's why one thing I appreciate you about you, bro, is you know, you see all that stuff going on with the other traders, the Zach Morris crew, and
Yeah.
it's just I don't know, bro. I'm just glad I met you, and because I see there is a lot of scammers on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, Twitter. So I like YouTube because YouTube is more, you know, I don't know.
Yep.
It's not,
No,
I'm not looking
listen,
for clout.
we're gonna put yeah, I found the tweet here. I'll put it in the I'll put it up in the main chat here. But yeah, I want to stream on YouTube and Twitch, right? That I want to do that as well as on Twitter. But there's a whole audience of people on YouTube and Twitch that don't, and I can stream all at the same time, right? But they don't you know, they're not going to Twitter necessarily, you know. So I'm gonna retweet it too, just so people can see this shit. But yeah, check out the tweet anyways. You can see the time that Doc Holiday took it from Alesso. It's just, you know, you see shit like that, and I'm like, these guys have big followers, dude. It's not small, you know what I mean? Like, this is not like a small I don't know. I forget how much this dude has, this Thomas, aka Doc Holiday, MBA, right?
But if you got anybody good on Twitter that you would recommend people to follow, man, I would mind posting something like that, and maybe I can give them guys a follow too, just to get.
Absolutely, yeah. You know what? I'll do that. I mean, not the second because it'll take a minute, but yeah, I'll go through and post a couple tweets or a thread of people that that I really think are worth a follow. I mean, there's a lot of people that I follow, but at the same time, I've cut down a lot because I was up, I had like fucking, I don't know, 1,300 people or something. And I had like, my feed was just, it was a lot of garbage, right? So I still follow 850 people, which is still a lot, but I know that like half of those are solid, they're solid people. And what I want to do eventually is get it down. Like, I don't mind following people, right, that follow me or whatever. I mean, I don't, if they have useful stuff, but I also know that it's not useful. You get into an echo chamber, right? If what you're seeing in your Twitter feed, and this goes for Facebook or anything else, if it's the same repetitive stuff that you're putting out there to people, right? If I'm already having that conversation, I don't need to see it in my feed coming back, just because other people are,
Recycling it. Yeah.
it's not a bad thing. Like, that's awesome, right? Obviously building the community and having discussions. It's also really good to have like my feed focused on the people that I look up to, right? So that's why, I cut some people out. Granted, I still have 850, so it's not like I've put a big chopping block on it. But yeah, no, I'll do that, man. I'll make up a list, whether I tweet it or if I just put it in the chat, I'll make sure I tag everybody and fucking,
That's cool, brother. I appreciate
make a
that.
point of it. Yeah, for sure. Because there are some really good follows. I mean, there's, and again, I follow guys that are, guys and women that are bullish and bearish. The main thing is that their content is fucking, is something that I can A, understand, and B, that's outside the box or something that I haven't thought about, so. And I have a lot of macro guys that I follow, guys and girls, because they, my input on macro this year has grown, my knowledge on it has grown tenfold. If I knew what I knew now going back, into 2020, I would have been a fucking beast, knowing just how the Fed works, like taking longer plays. I would just buy fucking leaves, buy contracts 3 months out, calls. Like, that's Fed's printing money, good to go. I want to start doing that, you guys, coming into this year, because I do think we're going to see more downside. But it's the same with the upside. If we get a nice base and it looks like we're going to rally up, we'll buy contracts, even if it's just 1 or 2, 2 months out, 2-3 months out. And what it'll do is help us lock in some of these gains. I don't want people to use their whole account or anything like that. But I mean, if we can buy, 1 or 2 contracts, those things can explode. The movement that we're seeing. I mean, anybody that bought puts for fucking, like 3,900, 3 months ago, you're slamming it, so.
Right. Yep.
But all right, no doubt. Well, listen, it's getting late. It's 11:18. I'm kind of tired, but anybody else have anything else you want to ask before we wrap it
I
up?
appreciate that, traders. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, of course, dude. Anytime. I'm happy. And again, you guys, I'm happy to answer questions, and even if it's just in the chat, but
Hey,
all right.
traders,
Yeah, what's up?
very quickly, just one quick question for you.
Mhm.
All right, so futures are looking pretty good right now. What are your thoughts for tomorrow? I don't know if you already may have spoken about it when you were going over this big chart. So I had to step away for a call really quickly, but I saw that you were in this chart.
Yeah, so this is don't mind the tons of pink up here. I gotta adjust some of that. But the actually I gotta get rid of that. Let's see. This shit can go. The thing I'm watching is the zone. So what I want to watch here is my zone. So the white, the 2 whites here, the 39.11 down to 38.94.6. That's the regular zone, and that's going to be very important. So I'm watching that, and then I'm watching this hourly supply. So if we get an hourly candle to close above that, above that hourly supply there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just like chopping blocking here. If you get a close, what I would wait for, I want to see like an hourly close above this 38.94.6, which is the regular OG zone. And then especially if we get an hourly close above the top of this blue zone, which is the hourly supply. So, above 39.02 spot 8, if we get an hourly close above that, then, we can look for a push up. The thing is, it's still sitting here in this zone. So I would play it. The way I would look at this TQ is just, if we get over this 38.94 spot 6, right, you could look for a retest of that for a bounce to go higher. And you're talking about for the cash open, right? Or are you talking about futures?
Just for tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. We'll have to see where it hangs out. there is some data that's coming out the rest of this week, I think that could be bullish, you know?
Yeah, we have GDP. I think we have GDP, and then is it the jobless claims or something tomorrow? We have, I think those
we
two
have
come out
initial,
tomorrow.
yeah, we have initial jobless claims and GDP, and the Chicago Fed National Activity Index, all at 8:30. So definitely going to be a good day in the futures. And then Friday, we have personal income, we have personal spending, and we have durable goods. And that's
Right.
going to be, and we have the PCE price index, right? Year over year, month over month. That's going to be a big one, in my opinion. So yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a good it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. My wife is, she's off work now. So she's on vacation until, I don't know, after the new year. So, I will be on trading tomorrow. We'll probably do a Twitter space too, and just, rock it out. So,
Got it. Okay.
yep, yeah, we'll figure that out in the morning, but, yeah, it should be fun. You know, we'll trade tomorrow, Friday, and then going into next week. I'll be around. I mean, even if it's like, hey, we'll trade the morning and then bounce, you know, and go do shit with the kids. I'll at least be around more consistently because I don't have to watch them. So.
Nope, that works. And besides, I noticed a lot of moves happen either first thing in the morning or they happen intraday during the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's not as much.
Yep. It's interesting, right? Like it's either that fast movement in the morning that we get some, you know, some crazy shit, or you're right. It's like the slow trickle up and all of a sudden something breaks and it's just like boom, up it went. I mean, this happened on the 10 a.m. candle. You know what? This was definitely data, right? I know what came out. 10:30 was the or the 10 o'clock was the fucking existing home sales.
Yes, and what it was supposed to,
And the CB
apparently the
consumer
information
confidence.
that came out should have been bearish, but people they just kind of whatevered it and moved on.
It may be because it's showing what the Fed wants. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things. The consumer confidence came out 0.2 over. No, it came under the consensus, which was 101, but it came out at 100.2. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I know that there was some data. I remember seeing a tweet or something about it, and
yeah, one portion came out good and the other portion came out not good. And so I think
the home sales, right, down negative 5.9%, which was half of a percent over the consensus, and the forecast was negative 3%, which was way under.
Right.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, no, that was I know it's really interesting that it did rip up. But I mean, again, the charts, when I look at these charts, I'm like, you know what? A push back up to this zone is completely, you know, is perfectly fine. What am I doing? I gotta get rid of some of these 5-minute zones. But you know, if you just look at here, the regular zones, the white ones, right? Like we came off of this, once we got we broke through this like a fucking cannon. But again, we came up and we hit this hourly supply. So like this is going to be very key. I think we can chop around inside the supply for a while. So let's see where that goes. Keep in mind the 100-day is right up here at 39.19. So that's definitely a target. We'll see where that's at tomorrow. Shouldn't move too much, but you know, figure right around 39.20ish, 39.18, you know. So if we do get a pop, I would be hard pressed to see it go above. Keep in mind the expected move is 39.40, right? So you could see a rip up to that, but that's, I don't know.
That's
I just
pushing
don't
it.
see it yet. Yeah, I'm not that bullish. I mean, I'm glad, you know, seeing this pop, this is not surprising. I wish I was fucking trading today, you know, more focused, because it was this looks like good opportunity coming up. But the thing is, I feel like if there wasn't this, our big moves in direction have come off of the data for so fucking long that it makes me like, I look back at the charts, and if you mark down every time there was some piece of data that came out and you kind of delete those candles, what you're left with are like these big consolidation areas that don't move, you know, that don't really make a big change until we have some data.
Right.
And it's you know, which makes sense, you know, it makes sense why that's the case, but still it's fucking, yeah, it makes me think that like the price that, you know, the stocks, the market itself is not healthy, right? Like it's requiring these shots of you know, it's like a booster shot basically, or a, you know, steroid shot or whatever, you know, like it needs this data to like actually make a move somewhere. And it's just I don't know, that's not healthy, so it tells me that there's just, and it makes sense. Look at the volume, right? The daily volume is super low. That would it makes sense then, that there's not a lot of that big money that's moving the market in certain directions. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
anyways.
Awesome. Awesome.
Big ass
Thank you.
rant. Yeah, you're welcome. We will we'll continue this in the morning for sure. I'm actually getting pretty tired here, and I don't want to slur my words, so no, I'm kidding.
I hear you.
Yeah,
All right.
stumbling over myself, but yeah, guys, have a great night. We'll I'll be trading with you guys tomorrow and Friday.
Thanks, traders.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, traders.
Very welcome, you guys. Have a great night. Okay.
You too.
You too.
Good night.
Thanks.